welcome to Level Up Weekly, the only show where you earn XP just by listening or watching. I don't know. In my mind, I just recorded a podcast with my son, if you could call it that. Lately, we've just been messing around with the microphone and stuff like that.
You can do pretty cool stuff.
That wasn't the mic. That was my cheesy voice. I've always wanted to get up on it like that. Like,
In a world where dinosaurs eat bagels.
Stuff like that. Anyway, not much has happened in the gaming world. Nintendo recently kind of confirmed what everyone heard in a rumor a couple of weeks ago, that the Wii U will no longer be made anymore shortly. The last Wii U's are rolling off the production line. Sorry, put my hands out of the mic. The last Wii U's are rolling off the production line, and if you want one, get one now. There might be a price drop. There probably won't be. I don't know. Maybe there will be. But a lot of the Black Friday ads are already leaking, and no Wii U's in sight. I mean, there's some good 3DS coming out. If you want one, now's the time to get one. I mean, they say they're going to keep supporting it alongside the Switch. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm still going to be buying digital 3DS games. I know some people are against that or whatever. But, that's kind of all the news that I consider irrelevant for my sphere. Again, if y'all guys ever want to hear about something or want my opinion on something, I'll talk about it. But today, I kind of wanted to focus on... what it is. It's kind of a broader topic of consumerism, but I'm going to talk about it in the sector of video games, and specifically on how I think the games industry needs to slow down in everything. We need to slow down on development and slow down on consumption of games. But again, this ties into a larger topic, which I might tackle in my subject matter show at a later date. But it kind of just boils down to they are making a lot of games. I feel like sometimes too many. And it's not even the big publishers. It's also indie devs. There's just a lot of games, whether you're PC, mobile, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. It's part of PC, but I'm not going to get into all that. But basically, there are a lot of games. If you are a really big fan of games and try to consume them all, and it's really overwhelming. I know pretty much all of us gamers have backlogs of games that we just want to get to but never will finish or just can't, especially those damn Steam sales. You get a lot of games for really cheap. I know that in the winter and in the summer they have sales, and only once I got caught up in that, and I didn't even spend a lot, but that's how addictive and crazy they are. I spent $20 and I got 5 or 4 games. I got a lot of games relative to the money I spent and to the amount of time I actually have to play them. I haven't played any of them because I'm just not a PC guy. I buy stock PCs. I don't build PCs, and even if I did, I wouldn't know where to begin. I do want to eventually, because I do want to have a nice PC, whether it's for just image editing or just 3D modeling or for motion graphics, stuff like that. Again, in the future, we'll see how it pans out. But right now that's not on the cards because, again, money and just the amount of time. Like I always say, if I could, I would just have 2 systems: my Nintendo consoles and a PC. Yeah, I know, I use consoles plural. Sue me. So anyway, there's a lot of games, and kind of connected to that is the development cycle of games, where you have teams of 50 plus people, especially in the larger medias like your Ubisofts and EAs, where they have upwards of a couple hundreds of people across the globe working on the game. And they really make them crunch. I mean, I think it was a lot worse before, and I'm pretty sure there's still residuals of it now, where people are still working probably 70-hour work weeks to get a game out on time, and they have time limits, they have budgets that they have to work within, and trade shows and things like E3 and Gamescons and things like that. They have to kind of make demos for. They just really write them hard, and there's a lot of literature out there and a lot of podcasts and just indie devs that used to be part of the regular dev cycle who kind of do little expose podcasts or just little guest appearances on podcasts and other internet shows where there's a really big dark side. I mean, think about that. I mean, at the end of certain games, or a lot of games, they have development babies where they basically credit the names of the children. I'm pretty sure at the developers and workers, employees' discretion, but they credit the children's names of who was born during the development of this game. And another unsung song is probably people who died during the development of this game. Not developing it, but if I was making a game and my grandpa died and I wanted to go, but I had to hurry back because it's crunch time and I need to keep developing. Again, it sounds shitty and stuff, and it's because it is. And again, there's a whole dark side to that. But I'm not involved, and I don't know any people that develop games. So I mean, I have tried to develop a game, but that's nowhere near as much experience as you would need to actually comprehend how much time and effort goes into doing that across different facilities across the U.S. or even across the globe, and just how much the company rides you on. We need this to be successful so that we can turn a profit, so that we can pay ourselves and pay y'all. And even then, there's no guarantee because a lot of publishers will build development teams to build a game and then just fire everybody or disband them and keep who they really want for their next project, for sequels or for spin-offs, which again is another shitty aspect of the development cycle, but it's a reality that they accept. And it's something, part of the problem, and it's because they're fans of the industry and fans of this hobby and this art. They're willing to make those sacrifices. Again, if you're single, that's cool, but if you're family, or if you're I consider having a wife or husband a family. If you and a partner are I consider that a family unit as well. But yeah, if you have a family that you also have obligations to, but you're also trying to get this game out, it's really stressful. And but they put up with it for their love of the art, and it leads to divorces, and it leads to custody battles. I mean, it leads to a lot of bad stuff that you're not gonna hear about publicly. And I'm not saying I got the scoop and I know this happens. It's just one of those things that has to happen. If children are born, if people are dying, because that's just what happens to humans, it also would go to the fact, basically, relationships can end from fans playing too much games. I can guarantee you relationships and families are being broken apart by people who are taking too much time to develop a game. And I think that's the appeal of indie games and indie devs. And the reason I'm talking about all this development stuff is because I want to say the reason they crunch all this stuff is because they're fans and they put themselves through the grinder so that we as consumers can consume this stuff. And as insatiable and ungrateful as we are, because you can see on Metacritic scores and forums everywhere when we shit on a game or when we praise it, we're really a really passionate crowd. But that's not gamers. That's just fans in general. I think it's silly how we put ourselves in this niche of we're gamers and only we can appreciate it. No, like movie fans, book fans, comic fans, music fans, art fans in general, they're passionate about what they do, which is kind of what makes art. You can look at a painting of a black car, and if you just see a black car, that's good for you. But if this black car moves somebody to an emotional level, it stirs their passion, all of a sudden to them it's art. That's what makes art is a subjective emotion. But anyway, and we are just insatiable, whether it's pre-orders or the crazy stuff they're doing now where they're kind of like making you pay to get it early and they charge you extra for it, or they have that DLC stuff. Again, there's another ringing cry across different podcasters and games media of do not pre-order games as a consumer. But you can't control it because we're fans and we're excited. We're excited to consume the product. We're excited to buy the product. We're excited to be the first to play the product. And again, I think it just comes with maturity and time and age where you kind of get out of that loop. Like me, I don't have time. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I work. I barely have time to make these videos. And I barely have time to fit in my games. So if a game is going to come out, I am not like, oh boy, I gotta get it. And it's like, come on, son, let's get in the car. Come on, honey, let's drive to midnight and launch. Or even let's queue it up and let's stay up till midnight. I can't stay up till midnight. My wife has to go to work. We only have one car. I have to go to work overnight. My son's gotta be put in bed by 8. Like, I don't have time for this early release type of hype and stuff. And again, that's me. I totally understand that 12 to 18, 17, 20, 25. I mean, again, with this millennial studies, a lot more millennials or just younger people are staying at home, either not going to college or coming home after college. And so, yeah, I can see how them, with their lack of responsibility or lessened responsibility on bills and things, do have time and space to invest in uh, these new technologies, new games, new VR systems, new consoles in general. But I think that we just need to slow down because, again, this is from my perspective, because don't have the time. I have been forced to appreciate what little gaming I get and what little gaming I have. And I've actually thought on many occasions, if they were to stop making games right now, they said, okay, no more video games for the next 10 years. We're going on a hiatus. Well, 10 years might be a long time, but I think I'd be okay with that. I think it would force us as fans and as an industry and as consumers to look at our options and actually expand our taste of, I mean, I don't play a lot of mobile games, but if I've played all of the Xbox games and PS4 games and PC games, which it's not possible in 10 years because I've got a backlog that says it isn't in the 26 years that I've been alive, um, I'm pretty sure there would be games for us to play for those 10 years. If you think about it, I mean, and again, this doesn't extend to just games. Think about, and if you're a movie fan or a music fan, if they just stopped creating your art you love, that you're passionate about, what would you end up consuming? Um, it's food for thought, and that's kind of all this is, just food for thought. I mean, I think we should slow down as consumers in terms of consuming what we buy, the products, the media, the art, whatever, so that we can make the developers slow down so that they can actually have time for their families and private lives and personal lives. I don't understand why we have to crunch. And again, this is a weird roundabout topic of developers and consumers and indie devs. That's why a lot of people go independent, because they don't have the crunch, they don't have the restrictions. They are their own boss, and they can say when they're starting and stopping a game development, and they don't owe anybody an explanation. Again, depending on the indie developer, like, oh my god, I can't remember their name. It slips me right now. But again, if you're a certain level of indie dev, yeah, then you might. The people who are making ukulele, they're an indie dev that got kickstarted. But their product has kind of grown to where now they are kind of held to a higher standard than just Joe Schmo making a game out of his garage who's been making it for 5 to 10 years. So, food for thought. That's all this is food for thought. Think about it. What would you do if your favorite art was cut off for 10 years? Would you expand your taste? Would you just put on your favorite Jay-Z track on loop for the next 10 years and not listen to anything else anyone has to make, or anyone made before then, in terms of music and games, just play Mario over and over again? I don't know. It's just a question. Comment below. Send me an email. I'm going to try to post an email somewhere, make a link. I don't know if y'all noticed, I've been putting videos in a subscribe button. Again, I don't know where. I know they're on the sides of my head. But yeah, so just like, subscribe, share, comment, and I hope you found this topic interesting. We'll talk to you guys next week on the next Leveled Up Weekly. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.